Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang i-address ni Secretary Garin yung tanong ni Congressman Tino. Do you agree with Congressman Tino na may overpricing?
No, Mr. Chair.
Shout out mga idol. Tingnan nito guys yung video na to. Talagang nakakaano na talaga dito eh. Kayo na lang humusga dito guys. Kasi talagang nakakadismaya. Alam nila na mayroon talagang overprice ng gasolina pero wala talaga silang nagagawa. Tingnan nyo guys. Kayo na ang humusga dito guys.
Ano paliwanag doon? Ba't tumataas ang premium? Insurance, malinaw yun kasi mas talaga tumataas yung cost, di ba? So nakapeg naman yun doon, naka-index doon. Pero bakit tumataas ang premium? Is it the volatility? Is it the excess demand? Lack of supply?
Basically, the ones who want oil are price takers, Mr. Chair. Pinag-aagawan siya, especially from the start. Nobody wanted to sell. And if you're willing to buy at a premium, then you can buy it. But if you're not, then you cannot buy it. So we are at the mercy of the traders, no? Or the international trading nila. Kaya ganun po, nag-peg sila 50 to 60. And why did we not have supply at the start? There was a scary moment at that time. Kasi po ayaw magbayad sana ng ating mga oil companies ng premium because they thought na hindi papayagan ng gobyerno. And then that's why NOC had to get in and pay the premium for their orders.
Congressman Tino, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Let me just note, it's okay ang explanation daw premium, pero let me just point out na even before the crisis, up to previous 6 months, no, ay mas mataas pa rin consistently. So ang sinasabi natin, may overpricing pa rin compared dun sa movement ng global price o world price. Okay. And ngayon,
Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang i-address ni Secretary Garin yung tanong ni Congressman Tino. Do you agree with Congressman Tino na may overpricing?
No, Mr. Chair.
no. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Congressman Tino.
O, malinaw po yun. Tingin ng DOE, walang overpricing. Sinasabi natin meron. It publishes on its website, merong parang breakdown, no, ng mga prices. So, the breakdown consists of common price per liter, import cost, taxes, biofuel, and industry take. Hindi dinidisclose ito ng DOE. Ang sinasite nila ay trade secrets, no, confidential information. However, sabi ng Supreme Court, in a decision on this, sabi niya, it is clear that it recognizes that there are certain pieces of information to be collected from the oil companies that are confidential in character, which the DOE is not permitted to share to unauthorized third persons or the public, but it is only when there are portions thereof that are matters of public interest is the DOE Secretary allowed under Republic Act number 8479 to make such known to the public. So, kinikilala po ng jurisprudence na may mga pagkakataon na pwedeng i-share sa publiko ang mga impormasyon na ito in the name of public interest. Sabi pa nga rito, after all, the law for the deregulation of the downstream oil industry was not created to protect these oil companies. No, it is for the sake and benefit of the public. So ang point po, hindi po ba ngayon ay pwedeng tungtungan na ito ng DOE para ibahagi sa publiko yung mga banggit natin na breakdown ng so-called industry take, which ranges from 21% for diesel up to 29% for gasoline. No? So napakalaki po ng industry take na yon. No?
May we hear the position of the
Yung,
Secretary?
in other words, ang tinutulak po natin ay ilahad sa publiko yung pricing, lalo na sa panahon ngayon.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we actually have also more knowledge now of the prices because of NOC's purchases. And our estimate is about 2 to 10% ang industry intake. But having said that, though, yes, there was a ruling and we were stopped from the unbundling. And because of the EO, we have issued an order to the companies to submit unbundled prices already, Mr. Chair. We're waiting for the
So
consolidation.
tama ba ang reading ko sa sagot ninyo relative dun sa question ni Congressman Tino is that the Secretary of the Department of Energy is moving towards the full disclosure of items that need to be made transparent to the public?
We have asked them for the info and unbundling, Mr. Chair. Just to qualify that what is going to be public and not public, that will depend on the provisions of the law, Mr. Chair. But the trigger of this power was the issuance of the EO of the President, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, malinaw na sa jurisprudence na sinasabi, yes, confidential yan, pero pwedeng i-disclose ng Secretary for public interest. Very clearly ngayong panahon ng national energy emergency, kailangan makita po ng publiko ano po yung sinisingil. No? So, hindi po, ang sinasabi lang ng Secretary, hilingin nila information. Wala silang sinasabi na i-disclose nila sa publiko. So, I think yung committee po ay kailangan pong pumosisyon na meron naman pong legal basis para i-disclose ito ngayon. Para malaman po kung ano pa talaga yung usapin ng overpricing. No?
This committee, Mr. Chair, must examine not only whether fuel will arrive, but whether the Filipino public is being charged fairly, transparently, and only to the extent of truly justified by actual market condition. Department of Energy, Secretary Garin. So, what emergency legislative amendments does the DOE now recommend, considering that do you recommend the inventory disclosure, the temporary suspension of the excise or the VAT adjustment, that is targeted support for the diesel?
There's the natural and artificial causes here na tumataas lang talaga siya. And when this happens, as pointed out by Congressman Tino, we're so vulnerable because it gets reflected right away, and then on the other hand, DOE cannot stop this. We can monitor, we can watch it, we can reprimand, but we don't have the powers to control it before it happens, Mr. Chair. So a certain degree of regulation when it is needed, I think it is necessary. And that's one for all the regulation. Many others, the unbundling, the powers of the DOE. I'm not sure if excise tax is my topic, but that would be the topic of. But that's about 20% of the cost of the pump price, yung VAT and excise.
So you mentioned about revisiting the Oil Deregulation Act, and I agree with you that the DOE right now don't have the power to cap the price. What legal powers does the DOE already have today, short of the price control, to compel disclosure of inventories, validate landed costs, inspect price notices, and sanction non-compliance, Madam Secretary? Because I believe that the DOE has this monitoring and can impose compliance functions, and that can also intensify its fuel station monitoring.
Yes, we do that, Mr. Chair. But as to regulating the price, telling them what price they should charge, or tell them to lower their price, we can only do that based on other laws, Mr. Chair. Not on order, maybe on profiteering, on the DTI powers, hoarding, a criminal case, but not exactly a violation of any DOE-related laws, Mr. Chair. Can I add just one?
Yes, please
suggestion,
proceed.
House? Maybe also the House can consider our vulnerability is also because we don't have our own reserves, and added to the fact that we only have one refinery, and that's only 30% of our demand. So I think maybe in the lines of, I don't know if it's necessary that we need a law for this, but a budget for this so that it can be done, Mr. Chair.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
last question, Mrs.
No,
Chair.
just on that point.
Yes, please.
I think Secretary Sharon, that's one of the things that we want emanating from you, because we cannot be smarter than the executive insofar as this particular issue is concerned. We have a number of House bills that have been filed pertaining to having a petroleum security, meaning having a national reserve for petroleum. So we'd like to hear a concrete proposal coming from the executive as to the amount of the volume, as well as what is the needed infrastructure to be able to do that. That's also one of the inputs that the speaker really wants, so that we have a clear idea, because obviously this is something that is obviously needed based on our recent experience.
Mr. Chair, just for a ballpark, we're preparing that. We're doing the papers now on how much it will cost and what are the infrastructure. But just to have an idea, we recently have 20 billion it's given by the DBM now, as ordered by the President. 20 billion is, but 1 million barrels is 12 billion pesos already. And that's 12 billion pesos is only good for 5 days. So ganun kalaki yung, as of today's prices though, no? Ganun kalaki yung requirement. So that's why it's also, and then even if we buy more, we don't have the facilities to store. So we're preparing that para we can present it also in Congress. But we're still doing the feasibility and all the evaluation, Mr. Chair.
May we know that 15 billion? Did you say you spent 15 billion?
12 billion so far.
12 billion to acquire the 2 million liters?
1 million pa lang, Mr. Chair.
What is the nature of that appropriation?
This is emergency funding that we got from DBM.
May we ask from DBM? Because the chairman of the Committee on Appropriation has been asking me what is the PAP that he has emanated from.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. This is a special account in the general fund. This is an automatic appropriation. The source fund ito is the Malampaya Gas Fund, the 20 billion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. We will have questions about that later. Congressman Garbin, please wrap up. Kindly.
Last question, Mr. Chair. Ito yung palaging tanong kahit ng aking mga constituents sa Bicol. In plain terms, Madam Secretary, why consumers are paying prices for a fuel that is already in storage? Is the Department of Energy affirming that the market uses a replacement accounting cost rather than a historic acquisition cost?
Yes, Mr. Chair. They're doing the replacement cost. Replacement cost, basically, pag nagbenta ka ngayon for 100 pesos, and then you sell it today, and then what you sell, you have to replace. So, ang presyo ngayon, yung accounting nila, para makabili sila ng replenishment for next. Kasi pag, halimbawa, 100 pesos yung cost na, pero yung papasingil mo lang sa kanila 50, kalahati lang ng kailangan ng bansa yung bibili nila. Because that's how it goes, the replacement cost. And so many other technical explanation. Pero yun yung accounting na ginagamit ng industry ever since. Since I started and I think my former boss started, it's always been a replacement cost.
So paano po pag like for example, with the declaration of a 2 weeks ceasefire, the Brent crude oil dropped from 110 to 95 if I'm not mistaken. Ganun rin ho ba yung basihan ngayon? I mean, kung gaano kabilis magtaas yung presyo sa pump, do we expect that if we say the replacement cost will be the basis, yung increase ba kahapon na 20 pesos ay maibabalik pa kaagad ngayong araw na ito, Madam Chair?
Mr. Chair, before it used to be once a month ang adjustment. I'm not sure what the history is. Tapos ginawang everyday. Tapos ngayon naging weekly siya. I think it's para pag 1 month kasi sobrang laki yung jump and everyday magulo, nalilito yung tao. I think that was the explanation before. So now, at the time of Secretary Cusi, if I'm not mistaken, ginawang weekly yung adjustment. So pag compute mo yan, i-average mo from Monday to Friday ang market, and then you get the calculation and the difference, baba or akyat siya, yun yung adjustment pagka Tuesday, Mr. Chair.
And that's why, Madam Chair, though we have this Oil Deregulation Act, it does not tie the hands of the DOE to continue monitoring the stocks, the inventory, and the pump prices. Kasi baka pagdating ng oras, yung consumers palagi yung lugi.